Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to two extremely sexually frustrated old men that are going to talk about extremely frustrating implementations of acts that are puritanical, unjustified, and just yet another feather in the cap to the slippery slope towards fascism that is the UK. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from below. We have a live counter of the Repeal the Online Safety Act, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, on Thursday, I believe, or Friday, it was the Online Safety Act came into came
Into fruition?
was it sorry,
Into fruition.
no, not fruition. It came in.
Into yeah.
It became it
It
was
happened.
implemented. There we go. That's the word I was
Implement.
looking
Okay.
for. There we go. Okay, so the Online Safety Act was implemented, and much to the shock and chagrin of everyone, it now meant that if you want to access pornography sites, I'm going to put this because the main reason I want to do this video is because it doesn't just affect pornography sites. But if you want to access pornography sites, you have to basically verify your age using some kind of photo ID, or you can have your face scanned and all this kind of stuff. Now, there's a problem with this. I understand where they want to come from about age verification and all this kind of shit, but when you're only like when your whole premise is to like target mainly like sites that are showing explicit material, that's not really going to help anyone's safety. This isn't online safety. This is just basically saying, hey, if you're under 18, you can't have a wank. That's what this is saying, and that's just fucking ridiculous beyond compare, because there isn't a single bloody human being on this planet that hasn't had access to pornography since they were a kid. I'm not saying I condone it. What I'm saying is everyone, like, it's one of the first things you do when you access the internet. The first thing I bloody did when I accessed the internet, okay, I was 16 at the time, was look for pornography. But the point is, this isn't just affecting pornography sites. So one of my favorite sites that has been through the ringer is Civitai, and Civitai is an AI site. Now, granted, on that site you can create adult material, but what I use it for is just to create the stupidest things using AI. I use it for a lot of fun and like superhero stuff and just, experiment, and I'm learning a new platform. Well, unfortunately, that site is now completely banned in the UK. Like, there was nothing they could do that could implement it in a way where it was acceptable to Ofcom for it to operate in the UK. So you can't access that website. It's not even about age fucking verification. You can't access it. It's blocked in the UK. So this is where I mean, when these kind of measures come in, they never ever come in with good intentions. They never do. They always pretend, oh, well, won't somebody think of the children? But in reality is, I don't like this thing and I want to ban it because I don't like it. And instead of addressing the real issue here, which is basically lack of parental monitoring of their kids' stuff, you can set up ways that you can monitor what your kids are doing online. Instead of going down that route and being practical about it and putting the emphasis of safety on the parents, everyone else has to suffer because, yet again, we live in a nation of lazy fuckwits that can't look after what their children are doing online, and they're not even concerned about that. Oh, sorry, Reddit also affected by this, because
Yep.
Reddit, you're allowed to post pornography and things like that. You need age verification for Reddit. So it's a big fucking mess. And before I crack on, Zam, your thoughts, but please don't use the WH word.
No, I won't. I won't. Um. Yeah. I am seriously upset and peed off by this. Our government
You
has.
can swear, just don't use the
Our government has gone authoritarian at this moment in time, and this is big government out of control. I'm a big fan of big government when it comes to them helping you with our tax money. This ain't it. And that's what really annoys me. And people are saying, "Oh, think about the children. Think about the children." Well, that's kids have parents, kids have guardians. You know, these are the people who should be monitoring their child access. You know, back in the day when we were younger, it was up to parents to make sure that we wouldn't watch R-rated, adult-orientated stuff. Would it be 18 certificate movies and stuff like that? I know this generation has it a lot harder, but we still have various parental blockers that you can put on the applications that your children use, and it's up to the parents to be savvy on these things so that their kids don't access stuff that they shouldn't be watching. This is not the role of the government. And if anything, what I'm seeing from the government, what they're doing is passing our information on to third parties. So the reality is that this is just some form of government capitalism scheme for corporations to make a lot of money, and that also really annoys me. And on top of that, the sort of information they're asking for is really like personal, and I'm not talking about you know they want to see us naked or anything like that. I'm just talking about driving licenses numbers, passport details and stuff like that, stuff that are only supposed to be used when applying for particular things in life, not because you want to watch something R-rated or X-rated, which is absolutely ridiculous. And this information, when given to third parties and God knows who, they can use this personal information to make it easier for them to hack us and get
Yep.
more than just our personal information, our funds and everything. So this is terrible. Right now, I'm on a VPN. Right now, I'm not promoting VPNs. Trust me, I'm not. But because I'm not the biggest fan of them personally, but I've had no choice because there's certain things I need to do, certain things I want to watch. Whether regardless of what it may be, R-rated, X-rated, whatever. If I want to watch it, I want to watch it. I've been on the internet watching this sort of stuff for years, and I don't want to stop watching it now because government says, "Oh, I can't watch it." How dare they? So I've had to get the VPN out. I've unearthed it, and luckily for me, so far, so good. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start cracking down on VPNs as well.
Yeah. I
Ginger.
mean, this is
Hello,
basically the
TLD.
kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that they basically lament, lampoon, and go after China or other kind of more stricter countries about. And here we are in the blink of an eye. We just implemented this. This is Tory policy, by the way, and Labour haven't repealed it. And they don't bat an eyelid when it comes to ways. And Zam is dead on about this. Like they're going to use this information not only. So not only is there the danger of you getting hacked, and they can fucking hack. They can hack anything they want, and then they'll end up with all your personal information. They can see what websites you're using, and they can. If you're married, for example, and you're visiting these kind of websites, like they could know that your marital status. They can blackmail you if you want to say want to take part in a protest or speak out against the government or become a member of parliament and all this kind of stuff. They can get this information and blackmail it and say, hey, behave or we'll expose you, kind of thing. There is no end. And we've seen this a million times. This is how this shit always happens. Okay, they think they're trying to be safe, but they make things worse. Then that system opens up to hacking, or they're just going to sell your information on sell your personal details onto marketing companies. Those marketing companies are then going to have all your personal details. It's bad enough that third-party American companies now have all our medical fucking details. Okay, which if we ever end up as an insurance-based country, because that's where we're bloody going to head, because there's no end to capitalism unless we have a violent overthrow of every fucking government in the world. But we're not here to talk about that. There's no knowing how far this thing could go. And the other thing is as well, whilst in the UK we have the Online Safety Act that's been implemented, what you also have is this group of fucking nasty ass feminazis. I hate to use that term, but that's what they are. Called Collective Shout, and Collective Shout have managed. Just a handful of these arseholes have managed to bully Visa and MasterCard to go to remove payment to remove their payment platform from places like fucking Steam because they have sexually, adult games, for example. They've also gone after the site that I use, Civitai. Mastercard and Visa pulled out as a payment platform because they had adult content on there. These group of cunts from Australia are bullying Visa and Mastercard to basically, yeah, stop supporting any site that they deem has not just explicit nudity, just fucking nudity. So we are in the midst of a puritanical shitwave in this world where, you know, a clean and safe vice like pornography, okay, I can't say like they're not going after gambling or gambling sites or anything like that, which does far more damage, or alcohol, which does far more fucking damage. Or pornography, for the vast majority of people, they go on, they knock one out, they crack on with their day. Okay, they're not. Some people are addicted to it, but everyone's addicted to something. But the fact is that they've gone after like Steam, a fucking gaming platform. Also, goes to the point that we have to fight not only against the Online Safety Act, against collective shout, but against the monopoly that payment platforms like Visa and MasterCard had. Because what's stopping this group and these payment platforms from just taking away support from anything they don't like? Anything. And if I said it once, I say it again. You cannot give Puritans an inch, they will take a mile. Just look at the Republicans in the United States and what they're doing with Project 2025. Okay, if you give them an inch and if you justify their position without pushback, without being as vitriolic and as nasty as they will take a mile. And this collective shout group and Visa and MasterCard, their monopoly needs to be broken up. Like, you need to go into the history of what they've fucking done to become the only two major payment platforms, and they need to be broken up. There needs to be far more options, and also, it's not their job to dictate what what your money is spent on. They can't do that. If they're the only two payment platforms around, they cannot be bullying companies to say, "Hey, you know what? No titties, no gash, no cocks. You can't do that anymore." It's just like, well, what's you tomorrow to say that? Hey, you know what? Amazon's selling knives. You no longer like knives, so what's you stopping Amazon saying to Amazon, no more money for you," kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's getting ridiculous. It's all these laws and implementations that don't improve the material well-being of people's lives. There are far more important things to be going after, but yet again, right wingers or the secular Taliban just waste their time with pointless bullshit like fucking pornography and violence in video games. And that's my next point.
If I could just,
Australia. Sorry, go on, Sam.
I just want to quickly, I remember violence
Yeah.
in video games. I don't want in Australia. I don't want you to forget that point. But one of the things regarding this particular act was also to stop misinformation. I, until I got informed a little bit later on, was misinformed because initially I thought this was brought out by the Labour government. And a lot of people still do. This was a Tory policy before, which they implemented when they were in power to come out at this particular time.
Yep.
And this obviously has come out under Labour. So many people out there are going to blame Labour for this when there's a Tory policy. And this is going to get the wrong people in charge, unfortunately. But don't get me wrong, the current Labour Party is not ideal, but I'll take them over Tories and Reform every day of the week. Sorry. But this is misinformation right now because not enough people are being informed on who the true culprits. And it's the Tories. And that's what's peeing me off right now because I was misinformed until I found out what was wrong. And a lot of people will never know that this was done by the Tories. They'll blame Labour for this. They're going to blame Starmer for this. I have blamed Starmer for this. I put on social media sites, Starmer, this is going to ruin you and the Labour Party, not knowing it was the Tories that have done this. This is pure misinformation. Yeah. This is pure misinformation. Ironically, for an act that's supposed to stop misinformation. So this is also peeing me off. Anyway, your point on video games in
Yeah, I'll
Australia and
come back
whatever.
to the violent video games, but on your point, yeah, like with the Tories, like I said before, the Tories were the ones that brought this in, because everything, anyway. But a prime example of how effective the right are in manipulating their moronic audience into thinking that everything's the opposition for ULEZ. ULEZ is not a Labour policy. It's not a Labour implementation. It's not fucking Sadiq Khan's idea, but Sadiq Khan had to implement it, and the
He
Tories
inherited it.
weaponized it against it. Okay, because part of the deals for them to receive fund, so part of the Paris Accords, in terms of environmentalism and air pollution and all of that, was to implement things like a ULEZ and to clean up the air, the Clean Air Act, and all this kind of stuff. And so the Tories are like, okay, we'll do the ULEZ thing, which is actually a bloody good thing. The problem is the Tories used that rather than taking credit and saying, look, we need to clean the air up. Air pollution in this country is too fucking bad and all this kind of shit. They, of course, shied away from it because their side hates all that climate change bollocks. So, in order to implement it, they put the blame on Sadiq Khan. Every other city was given grants and funding for people to hand in their old diesel cars and vehicles that didn't pass the ULEZ checks, okay, to replace their vehicles. London was not. Those grants were receded by the Tory government so that they can put more pressure to get rid of Sadiq Khan. See, this is how the right implements. So back to my thing on Australians.
And by the
So,
way,
yeah, go on.
sorry,
Yeah,
one
that's
more.
fine.
I'm sorry for the interrupting. And they're
No
actually doing
problem.
that in the states. They're doing that in the states as well because they're repealing so many benefits for regular people in America. But by the time that comes into play, the
Good point,
Democrats might be
TLD.
back in power. The Democrats might
Yeah,
be back in power, and then the Democrats will get blamed for the repeals that the Republicans did when those repeals actually happen. And so this is a classic right wing playbook right here, and something I fell for in my own country. I'm really, really upset by that.
yeah. No,
Anyway,
I,
sorry, I
I,
apologize.
I always look at things like that, and I'm just like, it's not. It would never be a Labour thing because Labour are too fucking cowardly to implement anything anyway. But they've implemented it because they had no choice, because it was done by the Tories. It came in and it's just come into law now. And the Tories knew they were going to fucking lose at the next election anyway. So now everyone's going to blame Labour and Keir Starmer. Of course, it doesn't mean you can't put pressure on them. We've got the petition down below. If you're British, go sign the petition to repeal the Online Safety Act. Look, it has to go back into Parliament now because it's got over 100,000 signatures to repeal it. Just get rid of it.
It's
There is
constantly
no
going
need
up.
for it.
By
Yeah,
the way, I signed it, I signed it earlier today, just a couple of hours ago, and it was at 288,000. So within the last 2 hours, it's gone up by over 7,000 signatures. This thing will easily, by before midnight, I guarantee this will be over 500,000 for sure at this rate. It's constantly going up, which is why we got it on our screen here.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so TLD, I'll get to that point in a second as well, because that's a bloody good point that you brought up there. So in terms of like what we said about there is no limit to them, to where they'll go, and this collective shout group being Australian, Australia has had a ban on violent video games anyway, and so there is nothing stopping them and the payment platforms from saying, you know what, no more violence in video games. And there's nothing stopping Project 2025 from saying that as well. I know in the end money talks, but Visa and MasterCard, they have infinite wealth anyway. They have a monopoly as a payment platform. So being bullied into bullying other companies to say, right, no more violence in video games. Hey, Rowan, there's no, that's what I mean. This thing has no end. This has no end. What's next? They'll say, put Jesus in your games and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's always a dangerous step where we get to. And as we were talking earlier about, you can sign up to something and it will get hacked. The T app, I don't know if you've heard about the T app. So the T app
Briefly.
basically allowed women to kind of, I
Oh
think it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah. I
rape
remember
their
that.
dates and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff. And, to warn
yeah.
other women and all this kind
I
of shit.
remember now.
Well,
Yeah.
guess what? That got hacked. And now all these women's personal information has ended up on 4chan. And now all these women are getting attacked for it. So this is why there always has to be. Who's that?
I don't know. Let's bring him in. So Charlie
Oh, it's
Kirk.
Block. Hey,
It's
Block.
Block. Hello, Block.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm
Good.
fine, thank
We're
you.
crying about your people taking away our pornography. But yeah, this T app basically has been hacked now, and they're going after the women that use the app. You see, so there is no limit to the dangers being posed online. As much as I hate it, anonymity is always the best default for online. And then obviously, if people get abusive and threatening, there's ways of tracking them down. But for the broad, for the most part, it is better to have your online anonymity because, yeah, like, you know, if you're somebody that has a particular fetish, for example, and somebody finds that out, and then, you know, it could bring shame onto a community. What if you're like a member of a, say, a Muslim community, for example, and you, like every normal Muslim person, goes and looks at porn, but then, you know, they find your name, they expose you, and they could fuck you up within your own community. Like, there's no knowing how far this thing could go. And I'm talking about the UK here, you know what I mean? Like, in the UK, anything could happen. You could be, like, fucking ostracized from your own community and all
And
this,
the main
like,
thing is, it's just what people want anyway. We want people to mind their own business. You know, we all have our
just mind your
kinks,
fucking
and
business. Yeah.
and you know, there's nothing wrong in that. You know, we don't want to expose everything we do to the world. We want people, we want things to be secret, take things to our grave, and there's nothing wrong in that. You know, as long as it's legal, you know, and as long as it's legitimate, there's nothing wrong in that at all. And now these things have become, you know, regarding our government, we have to expose ourselves to our government regarding what we like to do in our own private time. It's bloody ridiculous. What do you have to say,
Yeah.
Block, regarding us? What do
So
you
I
think
guess
about
it's
what's
just
happening
for
to us, Block?
control. So I guess it's just for control because, you know, I can't speak for you guys, but here in America, they're always like, you know, it's about morals and this and that. But it's like, and they always complain about the cost of everything. So, you know, that's why you got to cut Medicaid and welfare and all this stuff. But I'm like, isn't a police state going to cost a lot of money to monitor everybody? I know you can do a lot with AI and
Good
computers,
point.
but like, they're still
Great
going to have to
point.
hire people to be the morality police, basically.
And you know,
Yeah.
you being a libertarian, by the way, obviously this is the sort of stuff that libertarians would be really pissed off with. Like, how dare you get involved in our shit? You know, and they're doing that right now. I mean, they're more involved in our shit than they should ever be, and I'm just
Ex-
furious. I'm beyond
Exactly. And
furious.
why?
This is the
Like,
sort of
what's
yeah.
their reason? Are they just saying because it's for safety? Is that their reason they're
Yeah,
giving?
they're just saying they want to protect children from being exposed to like explicit content online. It's just like, dude, two things. Number one, kids as like I used to take my phone to my nephew, okay, who was between 12 and 13 at the time, to hack my phone so that I can play games on my phone where I had unlimited access to like coins and, you know, microtransactions without paying anything, okay? Kids are very tech savvy. And if you're going to teach kids like, you know, programming and all this kind of shit, they'll find ways. They'll always find ways around it. Of course, you know, you can use
Exactly.
VPNs and things like that. And but we shouldn't have to. Like, you shouldn't have to. This is the thing. And exactly, like, parental controls do exist. You can go into the options in your own browser to kind of limit explicit content. You can put pings and passwords to kind of stop your kids. Of course, kids are smart, like I said, and they'll find ways around it. But there are enough controls out there, like to kind of limit what kids can see. And all this does is this just hurts sites like Reddit, hurts sites like AI sites that people want to use. You know, porn is porn. Porn. The majority of people access porn with a VPN anyway because they don't want the porn sites tracking them and all this kind of shit. And if you don't use a VPN, it's not the end of the fucking world. But what I'm saying is like it's a slippery slope because you can then say that what's next? Next, you can say, oh, you know what? This left wing site that's a danger to capitalism seems to hold some very explicit uh, views and explicit content. We don't like this, therefore, you need age verification to access this site. And then they start implementing even more restrictions and more restrictions, and before you know it, you're left with just a monopoly of websites like Meta and God knows what else that have serious political pull, and you're boxed into like another network of propaganda that you can't get out of, and like everything like what it's like to live in the UK now. It's you are literally seeing in your own in real time your rights being eroded away by a government, by a party that was meant to be for the working class, but they have been worse than the Conservatives in terms of cracking down on free speech. Not that much worse, because don't forget what Priti Patel tried to do with the pro-Palestinian protesters, is label them as terrorists. But now the work around it is they've labelled Palestine Action as a terrorist group, and you've seen people arrested for just saying the word "Free Palestine," no genocide, because they're like, oh
Or
well, hang
wearing
on
a
a
rag around that
yeah,
Palestine
just
rag around the neck.
being arrested for like things like that, and being arrested. So you could be arrested for showing support for Palestine Action, but you're absolutely fine for showing support for the Israeli state, which is the biggest terrorist organization on the planet after the Americans. And it's fascism. That's all this is. This is fascism. We see it, and there's no end in sight. It's not going to
I just want.
end until people go out in the streets and drag their leaders out of office. It's as simple as that. We are at the point of no return now. And
I
if
just
we can make it to the next elections with Corbyn's party in place and people, kicking off against Farage's endless coverage on TV and protesting against that, then we might be able to get ourselves into a good place. But honestly, I just foresee it get to the point where complete and utter civil unrest is going to be needed.
I just want to add block as well. That this is only like this is they're only pretending regarding taking care of the kids. The hidden layer is basically helping corporations. That's the main thing about this, because our information is being given to corporations in order to sell us more shit, and that's really the be all and end all of all of this. But what they're asking from us is such personal details, which really represents us. Stuff that if it got out to the wrong people, they can pretend to be us, which is bad enough. So we don't like the idea of giving our extremely personal details to third parties just to sell us shit, possibly hack our shit, and pretend to be us at the same time. And that's one of the main issues I have with this. And this is very much the Tories and the Conservatives in a nutshell. They really pretend to fight for one thing when the reality is for another thing, and that other thing is capitalism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
this is opposite of small government. They're always talking about small government and government intrusion. They're okay with government intrusion if it's stuff they like to, harp
Oh,
on or
they
go
will.
after.
100%.
They will. They
Do you
will.
mean
The
yeah,
VPNs.
retroactively charge people for VPNs? What do you mean by that, TLD? Charge criminally or charge monetarily?
No, they're going to check. No, they're going to actually stop VPNs from actually working, which is one of the things I've actually heard. Because the VPN is the go around, but they want to stop that from happening, and eventually they'll crack down on that as well.
They
By the
can
way,
try, but
Rowan,
they can't even crack down on that in China. So what chance do they have over here in the UK?
or something,
The only way to
something
do
like
it is to
this.
shut down the actual companies.
I mean, this won't happen under the Labour government, but something like this will happen if Reform or the Tories get into power. That's for sure. Um, and they're going after Zoran Mandani for being associated and calling, the some of the stuff that he allegedly said he hasn't said, and they're going after him for stupid because he's not pro Zionist. That's why.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me
Also,
switch chats. Okay, fair enough.
look, Zoran Mandani is the perfect poster person for exactly how the establishment has always gone after socialists. Like right wingers will never really truly understand what it's like to be cancelled and silenced unless they were socialists. And the fact that Zara see, in another era, Mandani would have just been shot. It would have been shot, and that was it. Like, problem solved.
Like that
Shot.
Burkina Faso, yeah.
Yeah, claim he was a terrorist and be done with it. You know, that's what they. That's the reason they shot Martin Luther King. They didn't shoot Martin Luther King because he was a civil rights activist. They shot him because he was a socialist. They shot like the leader of the Black Panthers because he was a socialist. They bombed Philadelphia in the 1980s because it was a neighborhood run by socialists. You know what I mean? So nobody on the fucking right or the center will ever understand what it is like to be silenced unless they are left wing. And we see it in real time now. We've just seen it with Starmer, the Labour Party, and that guy's such a moron that, you know, anyone with half a mind will tell you, you keep them within your party to control them. Well, you get rid of them and they retain their seats or gain seats as proper left-wing independents, and you shot yourself in the foot. Because even if reform coming in the next election, they're only going to be a one election party because they're going to fuck everything up so badly that's when we will get a left-wing party, unless of course they just become a completely totalitarian nation, in which case my previous comment about civil unrest remains true. And trust me, you don't want to piss off the minorities in this country, because if they start going, you'll end up with like the Tottenham riots back in 2010, and they came out just to fucking defend a shithead drug dealer. What happens when they come out to defend themselves for themselves? So, you know.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
some of the rhetoric is really sad on this because, you know, there's a whole bunch of people right now who are protesting outside of a Holiday Inn or something like that because there's some migrants and asylum seekers staying in there. And I
Yeah,
don't want to go
Lepping,
too
which
much
is
on,
not far from me.
yeah, and I don't want to go too much on the tangent because what's really pissed me off is that people are complaining, going, these asylum seekers are coming into this country, and now they're working for Uber Eats and earning £6,000 a week. Fuck me, if I could earn £6,000 a week on Uber Eats, I'd quit my job right now and start doing Uber Eats.
Me too.
But the point is, if they're coming into this country and they're getting a job, why the hell are you complaining? You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
that's the
not
whole
their
point.
fault that they're
You
getting a good job.
know, they were coming for asylum and now they've got a job, and you guys are complaining. It's the same thing I heard. There's this woman called Jenny White. I call her Jenny White racist because she came in. She said, I'm at Terminal 3 and I went to the Marks and Spencers and the staff there were speaking Hindu to each other. I can't believe it. I'm thinking to myself, you're complaining that people are speaking a foreign language in the airport. That's what I said to her on Twitter, you know, because that is the case, you know. But, you know, these people are complaining over nothing, absolutely nothing. But unfortunately, these people are going to use this moment, you know, which have come under the, you know, this Tory rule that has come under the Labour Party to really, you know, get people on their side, on the reform side, on the right wing side, and it's scary stuff. I'm really pissed off with this particular act, as you already know, as we've already obviously created a stream for this. But the wrong people are going to. I mean, everyone should be pissed off with this, but the wrong people are going to blame the wrong, the wrong. The bad people are going to be blaming the wrong people because of this, and that's what's also scaring me. And yeah, they're blaming. You know, they're saying stuff like, you know, we can control the internet, but we can't control our borders. That's the sort of shit I'm reading online. You know what I mean? It's really pissing me off. Like, Jesus Christ.
And the thing
So
is,
when's
you
this
would
up
be able to
for?
control your borders. Oh, sorry, go on, Block.
Oh, sorry. I was like, when's this up for like a vote or whatever? Are they just proposing it now?
22nd
No,
of
it's
October, I think, maybe.
what's that for?
No, let me enlarge it 1 second. Um, wait for 2 days for a debate day. So
No.
Parliament will
So
consider this for a debate. Yeah,
no,
go on.
Block. Sorry, Block. The actual Online Safety Act has been implemented. It's come into effect.
Yeah, right now
It's
as we speak.
right now as we speak. So if you want to access shit, even if you want to access Reddit, it hasn't been implemented yet, but it will be. I know. You'll need to just use like, you know, online age verification and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, like the AI site that I use can no longer be accessed in the UK. They've completely blocked it in the UK because they can never come to a satisfactory point with Ofcom. And so pardon me, it's now blocked, and I use a VPN to access it. I don't fucking use it for pornography, for fuck's sake, and yet I still have to use a VPN to access it. Like, this is what I mean, where there's just they don't fucking think these things through. All I want to do is fucking take a picture of Zam and change him from pretending to eat his bird to eating a fucking cream cake. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the kind of shit I use that site for. Just stupid shit. But now, because you can make pornography on that site, you have to fucking use age verification stuff. Oh, no, you can't even access it. You don't even need age verification. You can't. There you go. See, look, I just posted that to him. He's eating a short rib. Now that one, I didn't use AI for that. Just
That wasn't that was my bird, and I was pretending to eat my conya, and he changed my conya into a short rib. Yes.
Yeah. See, now the immature people in this group of ours would have thought I would have put a penis there, but I'm above that. So I just had him eating an eclair with cream being thrown in his face. But you know, it's because I'm mature. Not really.
It was this bird here.
Yeah, somebody freeze frame that and Photoshop something in
Okay,
there.
she's fat, juicy, plumpy, delicious.
So if that birdie passes away, you're gonna cook her?
No, I have to. You have to be freshly. No, I don't want to say the word. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, freshly snuffed. Yeah, but those kind of birdies you'd have to be careful with, because omnivorous birds you need to be careful with eating, because they eat all your meats and all that kind of stuff, which could make.
She's everything, isn't it? That's why she's my big fat girl.
Yeah, she's trying to eat your fingers as well.
Yeah, she's
look at that.
feisty.
You're showing a fat bird. Now you're gonna have to have age consent to watch this stream. Well done, Zam. Well done.
Let me put away. She's acting well feisty right now. Let me move her away.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the same purity culture, pearl clutching, satanic panic culture war nonsense from the 80s. Of course it is. It's always going to be there. That's why my rule is always just tough shit. If you don't like the explicit content online now is fucking nothing. Like, they've been quite successful. Like, the only real danger people have online, obviously, it's still difficult to monitor if some of these girls are being trafficked that are on these pornography sites. It's difficult to monitor their age. So from that aspect of it, but governments need to work together and get people, again, when you have rampant poverty in this capitalist society, prostitution, sex acts, and all this kind of stuff is an avenue where a lot of women can go down to get money. Unfortunately, with that, you also got to deal with the aspects of sex trafficking, which is rampant and all that. But you set up a system to fight against that. You set up a system to fight poverty, where somebody becoming a sex worker, they do it by choice, not by desperate measures, for example. And people, all us people here, we're very sex work positive, because your body, your fucking choice, as long as it's you choosing to do that. Now, in that area, fine, I get it. You should be having a system to go after and to protect people and all this kind of shit. But the problem is the so-called extreme content online now, it's more about the Red Pill Brigade. That's extremist content. That's kind of stuff that needs to be clamped down on. Not fucking checking out a couple of lesbians eating each other out while you tug one off.
Sesame Timbers.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I want to quickly add that, like, the people you need to blame, the Pacific people you need to blame for this, I can remember two of them, but there are two people who are of significance. Jacob Rees-Mogg, he want to help people who help implement this, and Suella Braverman, who the pick me extraordinaire.
She was literally little Miss fucking fascist.
I think Priti Patel might also contributed to this as well. These are the people you need to blame for this, and make sure that they never get back into power ever again. They are the worst people on the planet. Legalize and
reform are going to be even worse than these pricks. Legalize and regulate sex workers seem less of a pain in the arse than banning VPNs and censorship now. Yeah, again, like, look, prostitution is legal in the UK. You can't just go out in the streets and flaunt it, but it's perfectly legal here, as it fucking should be. So, but they're probably going to clamp down on that as well, because why not? You know what I mean? They clamp down on everything fun here. Now, like, just to ride an e-scooter, you're going to need a license and insurance for that. So, you know, in the UK, we don't like fun. The UK hates fun. And the UK always has a stick up its ass about sex. So, you know, you can even show penetration on porn TV channels here in the UK. Like, that's how fucking ass backwards we are. But,
Always been.
yeah, instead of tackling the core issue of wealth inequality, which all of this does play a part, you know what I mean? Instead of doing things like that to lessen people's need to go and work in the world where there's a high risk factor and all this kind of shit, like, you know, things like OnlyFans, for example. OnlyFans is a great platform if it's you doing it, you're in control. But unfortunately, what we also find with OnlyFans is you get your so-called pimps that kind of get girls in, do the, you know, help use their kind of you know, fame and notoriety to get people to sign up to these girls, and then they take a huge fucking cut of their money. So, you
Andrew
know,
Tate being one of them.
Andrew Tate, there was that other little shit who I forget his fucking name, but he was doing it as well. It was like he crashed his Lamborghini recently, and then he got cancelled.
Oh yeah.
That guy, Jack something or other. But people like that. But that's what you need to go after. Things like that, not fucking again. And the extreme. What's it? In place of penetration, they show Zam eating a short rib. Exactly. That's it. It's just Zam moving around wherever there's genitalia. It's just him and the short rib pig moving around. But you know, Google and all these other sites, they have actually done good job in kind of cracking down on extreme content, because like back in our day when we kind of first started using up the internet, and up until I think when Google finally had a monopoly on everything, which was what, 2008, 9, 10, around there, the internet forever changed. So the kind of crazy content that you could once see, and we're talking like violence here, okay, in terms of violent content, not sexual violence, but just violent content, like autopsies of Tupacs and people's brains getting blown out and all this kind of shit. They've clamped down on that. It's a lot harder to kind of find that content, and that's a good thing. Like, you know, so these kind of online safety acts are just bullshit. Basically, it is just ways to kind of clamp down on your personal freedoms and to sell your data to other companies. Like, you know, if we had the internet that we had 20 years ago, you can maybe argue for it. But what we have now is just a platform of sanitized bollocks. The majority of people, oh God, I just spat everywhere. The majority of people, what do they use their internet for? They use it, they go and browse on fucking social media, argue with idiots like us, or we argue like idiots with other people. And that's about it. Occasionally they go on, have a wank, and that's it. That's the kind of crux of the usage. And they're not actually doing anything to tackle extreme content or extremism online. They just want to basically blackmail you for using pornography or make you feel bad for using pornography. And it's not on. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
prohibition doesn't
they-
work. Ask our country
It
when they
doesn't
tried
work.
to do it with, you know, alcohol.
Yeah. And, you know, even if they crack down on VPN, something else will come along. Something else. Ways around it. There's always work around it. But you need, like, all these fucking extra steps just to be normal. And in my case, extra steps just to access a fucking AI site. You know what I mean? I'm not, like, how many of us go every fucking day to look at pornography? Yeah, I can't vouch for everyone else, but that's not me. You know what I mean?
Not now. I'm
But
fucking not the age I'm at now. You know, I haven't got the
no,
gusto to watch
exactly. When we
pornography
was
every day.
younger, yeah, two, three
Yeah,
times a day is normal. These days, it'd be lucky, like, if you get it, you know,
once a
6 or 7
week if
times
you're
a week.
lucky.
Wait, I mean, sorry, no, just kidding. But yeah, you know. Anyway, UK government, let us just have a wank and
Yeah.
stay out of our pornography. Uh, that's it.
I
That's
mean,
all I have. Sam, if you've got anything
religion
else.
is playing its part. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's religion. When I say it's religion, it is trying to uh, appease religious people by saying, we're doing all this because, we know all this stuff is sinful and stuff like that. But once again, it's not like they're truly blocking us. They're just making us go through loopholes and having red tape from stopping us watching it the way we would usually watch it. Once we get through all that red tape and stuff like that, we can still watch it. So they're not truly blocking us, but they want to obviously make sure that we give our information away so corporations can sell us shit. And it's not like these corporations haven't got enough shit. And by the way, how long we've been on? Like 45 minutes? What, we've got like 2,000-3,000 signatures in that petition I've kept on since we started going online.
Over 4,000, I think. I think it was at
Oh,
293.
Yeah, 293 or 292. Yeah, there's a possibility. Yeah.
So it's gone up quite a lot. It just keeps going.
Let me quickly check. Actually, let me
That's
quickly
fine.
check.
I'm going to
Let me
go
see
to some
the big...
comments now anyway. Cracking on VPNs feel more motivated by for-profit streaming services bottom line,
293.
and the porn reason feels like an excuse. I mean, the thing is as well, like, it doesn't like if you use a VPN to access a streaming service, you're still paying to use that streaming service. So even if you access, say, America Netflix, you're still paying Netflix per month, so they don't lose any money from it. So although they crack down on it in terms of accessing foreign, which it makes no fucking sense to me that you do that, but it's the kind of contracts and rules that each country has with broadcasters and all this kind of shit. So that's why they do it. So it's not the streaming platform's bottom line that's getting hurt. It's say like Sky or BBC that bottom line could getting hurt because say in Netflix USA they'll have shows on there that you can only see on the BBC iPlayer here. So in reality, a platform like Netflix would say you pick a fucking region and watch from that region, but because of the rights of other broadcasting networks, that's why they can't just be open about it, because you're still going to have a monthly subscription to access.
It's a site that you pay monthly for where you'll be fine. It's the stuff that's free. I think. I'm not. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like pornography sites where there's lots of free pornography sites where, yep, give us all your fucking details if you want to fucking knock one off, That's where maybe a VPN will definitely come in handy if you can find one. By the way, I'm using Proton VPN. I'm only saying their name not because I'm promoted by them. I'm not, but they're free, and I believe in free, and they're not free for a period. They're free all the time. So Proton VPN is what I'm using right now to get around this bullshit because fuck being censored by bollocks. I'm so angry by this.
And have a Proton email as well so you can use that rather than your Google Mail, so it limits platforms from tracking you.
I just checked as well, Ginger, by the way. Yeah, we've been on for just over 45 minutes, and in 45 minutes, 4,000 British citizens have signed on to this repeal the online safety act. It is very unpopular. Damn. I love the fact that the signatures are constantly going up, and they will do. And I'm very much looking forward to where the signatures are going to be later on tonight. But honestly, you're affecting the whole country now with this. Everyone likes to knock one off. Whether it be the most religious people or the least religious people who pretend to hate porn to people who love porn, all manners of people. They're going to be really pissed off about this, and they're going to fucking make sure that this shit gets repealed. I hope it does. Do you think it'll get repealed, Ginge?
Probably not, because only if it affects the profits of certain organizations and they pressure the government, only then. But
so we're truly under a capitalistic government. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's all anything that doesn't affect somebody else's bottom line. They don't give a shit about you. You're an afterthought. Now, if the porn companies kind of came in and used their money to buy influence, say, "Oh, repeal this fucking bollocks," then maybe. But I don't know. I can't. Certain things and legislations are difficult to kind of predict. I could predict how tides turn in terms of overall politics, but in terms of legislation, it just depends how much the government wants to say, just fuck you, we'll do what we want kind of thing. So yeah, there was one thing else.
I mean, in the short term, depending how much backlash there is, I could see them just because it's a law doesn't mean they have to enforce it. So they might ease on the enforcement act. They might overlook stuff and just be like, you know what, we're just gonna wait till some time passes by, see how it goes, and
Well,
then kind of like re-implement it and reinforce it when people forget.
it would be in Labour's totally best interest to repeal this. Labour's best interest, because people are going to,
Yeah.
like I said, there are a lot of people who are going to blame Labour for this. They won't know the Tories implemented this. They're going to blame Labour for this. You know,
Yep,
and
they
if,
could
if
literally come out and say, "Look, we found that it is encroaching on sites that aren't really for explicit content, and this is a Tory policy that wasn't well thought of, so we're repealing it. We're against, say, conservative governments cracking down on people's freedom online and all this kind of shit." Like, they could get a win out of this, but they're so thick. But this Labour government, like Keir Starmer, is so dumb that he's not going to do it. Like, when I say he's dumb, what I mean is he's very smart when it comes to the law and how to crush people. Okay, and he's a very thin-skinned dictator, but he's very dumb as a politician. Because, like I said, if you had strategy, you wouldn't let the left go from your party. You keep them in to control them. But now you've just unleashed Jeremy fucking Corbyn and Zara Zaltana on the world. And by the way, they have 500,000, probably 600,000 people now that have signed up to take part in constructing the new party. And no right wingers. It isn't they're just signing up for a fucking newsletter or a mailing list, you stupid fucking idiots. Because that's how centrists and right wingers are scoffing at this, like, oh, they're only just signing up to a mailing list. No, they're not. Go sign up to it. Like my friend Stefan on Thing, that's what he thinks it is. I'm like, oh, you're so thick. And I've said to, once this party launches, if they retain those numbers, which I'm guessing they're going to do that anyway, or at least close to that numbers, then we're going to have the biggest party in Europe. Of course, that doesn't necessarily transfer always into votes, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But again, I'm just talking about how dumb Starmer is, and that if he had a brain, he would have kept Corbyn and Zoltana and all of them in the party, so they can't go off and do this and be the inevitable downfall of neoliberalism, I hope, at least within a decade. So yeah, that's where we are. The left are always dumb in politics. No, they're not, Cheeto. The American left are. You know what I mean? Please stop. Like, again, and I need to emphasize this. People need to lumbering in left wingers with American left wingers, because Americans fucking suck at everything. Okay, they suck at being centrist. They suck at being right wingers. They suck at being social justice warriors. They suck at everything, because at the core of it is individuality. And I must be the number one head honcho, even within my own movement. And within my own movement must be a subsect of a subsect of a subsect of certain types of left wingers or right wingers or centrists. And nobody can ever find common ground, because as a country, you're brought up to be about self. Left wingers in the rest of the fucking world. In the Czech Republic now, the Communist Party now has 21% polling, and they could be set to form a coalition government at the next elections. So again, do not lump in the American left with the rest of the left. Just saying. And on that note, Cheeto, are we going to do a review for Fantastic Four or what? We're waiting on you, by the way.
yeah. And by the way,
So-
Block, I just want to ask you, like, what do you think? Have you been keeping an eye on these signatures, Block? What do you think about all of this when you see those signatures going up, like 4,000 in the last, within the last hour, almost 5,000, by the way, getting close there.
Well, like you guys said, it affects everybody. Like, you could literally, Ginger even said it, like almost any site you could probably, YouTube or anything, you could upload, make content that's, explicit or whatever. And that's what they're saying is their justification for that age verification and all that. But it's like, you shouldn't punish the masses for the bad actions of the few. Like, just don't let people upload certain things. Don't just be like, all right, we're just going to ban everybody or age verify everyone or whatever they're going to do. They need to stop. They do that on so many things, like the welfare in America. Because a few people abuse it, they're like, all right, we're just not going to give it to anybody.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, this
Yeah.
is an American policy that they've brought over to the UK because they did it in a couple of the red states, where you need like age verification to access certain
Yeah,
sites.
Oklahoma,
Yeah,
Texas.
exactly, and they just implemented that because again, monkey see, monkey do over here. We don't do anything original over here. We just look at the Americans and like, oh, does that make everyone's life miserable? We'll copy that then. So again, that's what they've done over here. And unfortunately, you can't go state by state or region by region in this country. So the whole country is fucking affected, unfortunately. And on that note, we're gonna end the stream there. We're pissed off.
stuff.
We're horny. I'm gonna go fuck my pillow later. And on
And
that,
if you're British, sign the goddamn repeal. Sign it now.
yep, it's a